Hey everyone, glad you found the show. My name is Tyler Kluver, and this is the Tyler Kluver Podcast, or the TK Pod for short. This is just a relaxed, informal, no expectation way for me to create content based on my thoughts around health and fitness, maybe occasionally business or personal development, as well as document my personal competitive fitness career. Very self-centered. Putting that out there up front. I hope I can entertain for 15 to 30 minutes a week and maybe provide the occasional nugget of knowledge or advice to help somebody out with their own life. Again, I'm just glad you're here. I welcome any feedback to make this show better. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Let's have ourselves a day. We are back on the TK Pod. We've got an overlay, people. I'm telling you, go to the YouTube. Go to the YouTube, search Tyler Kluver. Probably just my name. TK Pod, Tyler Kluver, TK Pod. It'll come up. And you'll see we got the overlay. It's a very, very intricate, spent hours on it. No, I'm just kidding. It's about as simple as it could be. It looks better than nothing, and it looks better than using the old one, outdated branding. So here we are, the TK Pod. We're back for another episode. Today, we're already preparing for another competition. We had 1 week off where we recapped Wadapalooza. We're back this week. We're going to preview the Fittest of the Coast. Big competition that is a it's a growing, becoming more well-known CrossFit competition on the East Coast over in the Carolinas. And I'm very excited to be a part of it. We'll talk a little bit about the details and specifics of what that looks like competitively for me. How big is the competition? What division am I in? Who am I doing it with? I've mentioned all of this a little bit. How many people are in the division? How many teams? How many workouts? Schedule? All of that here in a second. But first, something that you guys can take away, a little nugget. Because again, I'm trying to drop 1 or 2 nuggets, gold nuggets, like it's Pokemon, of information and advice around here. And I promise you this. This is current, up-to-date advice that has been super helpful for me when it comes to business in this new year, basically through 1 month. Many of you have heard me talk about having a to-do list. I know everyone has a to-do list, but do you actually have it physically? Right? I've actually transferred mine from a notebook on my desk up onto a whiteboard that I hung in my office. I feel like that has actually upped my production. It is tangible to grab the marker, write out the to-do list every single day. And then as you do those things, like for me, it's usually on a Monday. Today was go to the grocery store, drop the social post and record a promo for the new podcast. Usually it's a morning session and a PM training session. Meet with this guy, record the TK pod. I'm actually recording this on a Monday. And as you cross them off, or as you do them, you can actually cross them off, erase them off the board, and it gives you momentum. So that's great, right? That is helpful. Add a calendar to the mix. Add a little calendar, and this takes it one step further. This takes it out from just what are you doing today to what are the big things that you have this week or maybe in the next 2 to 4 weeks, a month time frame. I drew a calendar grid on my whiteboard, and for me, it's a podcast schedule. Nothing else really needs to go up there. There's a few extra things that I put in. But for me, it's who am I recording with on these days? When is that episode going live? Color coded. And at the beginning of January, I had the thing out like 5 or 6 weeks planned in advance. And I recognize it's right over the other monitor here. I can see it. I see it every time I look this way. And it's just a constant reminder of, okay, who's next? What's the next podcast to record? What is the next podcast to produce? What is coming out today? Okay, we got that, cross that one off. Who's scheduled for the next 3 to 5 recording sessions? And this has been one of the biggest things for me with this whole podcast deal is scheduling and getting people to it's just a constant it's constant. It never ends. If you run a podcast that is just consistently going, it means that you're consistently scheduling people. You never like get done with it. So if you can take 2 or 3 or weeks at a time or a month at a time and say, okay, here's the not just guests, but here's the topics that I maybe want to do on a night where we don't have somebody to record with. And you can say, okay, for this month, I see that Sunday, every Sunday for the next 4 weeks, I've got this guest, this guest. We're going to do this topic, this guest. Every Wednesday night, those are nights we record. You can see it on the board in your eyes. It lets you know, hey, I need to reach out to this person, or I have not got a confirmation from this person. And of course, it's a little different. I'm podcasting. This could be things that you have to get done, projects, reports, uh, whatever you have to do at your job, tasks. If you write them out, they stay on the front of the mind. That's just tip of the day. Okay, where are we at? What are we doing? What's life like right now in the competitive scene? Uh, I'll say this, and this is a little caveat, not a caveat, but it's a little bit of an extra. That's probably not good for my wife or me as far as like being chill and not trying to be a competitive athlete, because right now, and it's probably just because I'm in the middle of it, the season's here. I've been training hard as shit for this time of year. The competitive juices are going, right? Waza, what people call Wadapalooza, the Miami thing we just did, fueled that fire. That was really fun. And doing well down there fueled it even more. If we would have went down there and got our ass kicked, I don't know if I'd have the same motivation. It's something I've always wanted to do. And at this point, I'm going on like a almost decade-long sort of journey of being out of football, not being a football player, and being able to actually train competitively if I wanted to. And my competitive CrossFit fitness journey life as an athlete kind of started late. Not kind of, it started really late relative to a lot of people nowadays. And there's reasons for that. We could go over that in a different podcast. Probably would be a good episode to kind of hear why at 30, I'll turn 31 this year. Why now am I starting to go to the biggest competitions or try and like actually be competitive? Good question. But right now that those juices are flowing, and to the point where we just finished a trip to Miami. We're about to go to South Carolina on Friday after 2 days after you hear this. About 2 weeks after I get back from South Carolina, the Open's gonna start, and that's gonna be a 3-week thing. If all goes really, really well, I end up qualifying or being able to compete in the online semifinals. That runs through, I don't know, March or April. And in the middle of all this, there's a qualifier going on right now for the First Form Monster Games that are held in Overland Park, Kansas. And I like low key like followed them and checked out the workouts, and I'm going over the standards of those workouts, and I'm looking at other people do those workouts online, and I'm checking who else signed up for that competition and when the dates are of the actual comp, when the qualifier date ends. Like, can I get this qualifier in? Like, I'm trying to do another one right now. So that's where we're at. And when you have a kid already, another kid due on the way in late May, and job, family, all the responsibilities, adding all these competitions of which you are not a professional. This is not your job. I do not make money doing any of this. In fact, I spend a lot of money to go and do them. It doesn't take any stress out of your life, but I am just fully juiced in enjoying them and competing and being very, very fit. That's going to be part of today's episode. Is we are in very good shape right now. So let's shift focus from me being a distracted semi-pro wannabe athlete over to the actual competition that we're going to be doing, and that is, like I said, Fittest of the Coast. You can check it out if you're interested in it. It is Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this weekend. It'll be the 7th, 8th, and 9th of February. The teams of which I will be competing in the team division, it's teams of 2, so I have a partner. His name is Spencer, and he's from Carolina. He's originally from Iowa, but now down in Carolina. Trains and works out with a bunch of other guys that do the same programming as us, so there will be 6 or 8 or 10 of us down at this competition that all know each other. And so that'll be fun. That's a fun little side to this. Cole and Jay, who work out at the gym here in Des Moines, they are qualified for the elite division. They qualified as the last team in the elite division, so that'll be fun for them. Um, we are in the RX division, so that's the second division. The top 16 teams made the elite. We are the coming into this as the 25th ranked team out of 32 out of the qualifier. So in a very similar spot to how we were 35th coming into Wadapalooza out of 40. We're in that bottom quarter percentile range. And we have an opportunity to really, if we do well, we can really better our placement versus our qualifying place. It's tricky right now. I got hurt at Wadapalooza. Injured or hurt? I'm not sure which one. Hurt. I hurt myself at Wadapalooza. Not to the point where I have to stop working out or that it has actually prevented me from doing anything. But on the overhead squat workout, on the very last rep of the workout, going for it, trying to run a team down, I lost it back behind me. And my shoulder mobility was tested basically to its 100% max without actually doing structural damage. And I don't know what it is. It's sprained. I sprained the shit out of it. I woke up that next Saturday morning going into we had 4 workouts left still, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to do any of them. Now, thankfully, adrenaline, warming up, ibuprofen, game day atmosphere, all of that helped me through it. And I actually didn't feel it too much during the workouts. And it's been that way, since. But it is still to the point where it doesn't feel great when I'm not warm. And so I've been trying to manage that, stay away from tons and tons of shoulder stuff, doing what I need to do without overdoing it. But we feel pretty good and we feel very fit. I do believe that I am potentially the fittest I've ever been right now, all encompassing when it comes to the sport of CrossFit. Now, there's a couple other things like pure aerobic wise. I think I might have been slightly better at the end of my rowing cycle last year. Don't worry, I'll get there. We're about 4 weeks out from that. Because of the rowing program that we're doing. When the open comes, I will be in any way imaginable. I will be the fittest human I've ever been, barring injury. I've definitely been in better running specific shape. Right now, I'm not in great running shape, but it's because running is such a small piece, one of 100 things you do in CrossFit. And so haven't ran a lot. It's also been the winter. So I'm not going to go spend my time running in the cold when I can do rowing or biking and get similar benefit. But when it comes to CrossFit, the skills, strength, I've never been stronger than I am right now. I've probably never had as much volume on toes to bar and muscle ups and pull ups as I've had right now. And then, lung wise, aerobically, still, I'm very, very close to my peak 95, 97% of what I've ever been. You add all those things together, as well as I'm the smartest CrossFit athlete I've ever been, being able to break down workouts, know when to pick my spots, where to go in each one. We're in the perfect shape. As good of shape as I can be. Training has paid off. It's gone well over the last few months. You hear me talk about it all the time. It's mostly what I talk about on this podcast. It's annoying, but the work is paying off. We're in a great spot. So the idea here is that, we're qualified 25th out of 32. Essentially, we're if you split that 32 teams into sets of 8, we're the best team in the bottom set of 8. And I think we have a chance and would obviously love the opportunity to make this weekend mimic the result of the Wadapalooza weekend. We came into that weekend 35th out of 40 last heat and immediately placed top 10 in the first two workouts, put ourselves in fifth place overall going into day two, so that we were now seated into, because where you're seated at or where you're ranked on the leaderboard is who you end up working out next to. You'd like to be in the top with the best people. I think we have the same opportunity on day one. This is only a 2-day competition. On day one here, 3 scored workouts to place well and get vaulted up into the top heat. That is the goal. And I'll explain this in a minute, why some teams would have the ability to, and to be honest, we qualified 25th out of 32 here. We were technically the last place team to qualify. Officially, we did officially qualify. We did not get a backfill invite to this one. We were one team away. We were the last one. Now, a couple teams decide not to go. There are some backfill invites. That's why there's 7 teams ranked behind us coming in. And why is that the case? Why is it that we could go to Wadapalooza, we backfill in, and then we end up taking 7th? And really, like, we were clearly a top 8, top 10 team at that. But how come we couldn't qualify as a top 8 team? I'll try to give a very short explanation. You kind of need to know competitive fitness to understand this. But the way these work is all of these competitions that end up having, they pick their place. Miami, this one's Charleston. The one that I talked about earlier is Overland Park, Kansas. They have their in-person event. You're lined up next to people. You're working out against them. There's a field of 20 or 40, maybe 60 athletes competing at it. All of them have qualifiers to get there. It's how they make a lot of their money, right? You have the opportunity to qualify. It creates some amount of prestige and supply and demand. There's benefits to qualifying for these competitions. You get a little goodie pack. You get to go and have the fun of competing. You get to travel and see people and do your thing. While 20 or 40 athletes, somewhere in between there, might be competing on the game day when it comes, the qualifier that usually happens 3 to 6 months beforehand is where they pull from as a pool of athletes. And they want that pool to be huge because a qualifier brings in money. The one I was talking about earlier for Kansas, the Monster Games, it's a $27 registration fee for the qualifier. So if they can get 1,000 athletes, and of course they have multiple divisions, right? Pro division, RX division, intermediate division, masters, men and female for each division, teams, individuals, all these, it works out to like 20, 30 divisions. I think Wadapalooza had 45 divisions. If you can get a pool of several hundred people for each division to show up and try to submit their scores online, and they'll pay you $27 just to submit those scores, you can make a lot of your money there. That can pay for you putting on the competition, prizes, prize money, like it helps, right? So there's an incentive to get as many qualifiers as you possibly can. Now, if you come out with really, really, really hard qualifier workouts, and in CrossFit, that looks like really heavy weights or really hard skills. And to an extent, they will still put those in there, right? But in strategic ways, that is going to shy people away from signing up, and they will not spend their money. So oftentimes what qualifiers look like, and this includes the Open, the CrossFit Open in the regular, the main season of CrossFit. Oftentimes what those workouts look like are 10 to 20 minutes long, which provides a pretty decent runway to accumulate reps. And they are rep-based workouts, meaning you are trying to get as many reps as you can over the course of that. They're AMRAPs, right? They're not a 4-time. It's not, hey, here's the work, complete it as fast as you can. No, it's here's a round. You do as many rounds as you can. And it's usually of movements that are easy to complete, low barrier of entry, burpees, dumbbell snatches, a pull up, a box jump or step over, a thruster, stuff that isn't like muscle ups or handstand push ups or really heavy, 275-pound cleans or something crazy, right? That kind of programming sways itself, is biased towards a certain athlete. Athletes who don't necessarily have to be very strong, don't have to be necessarily very skilled. They just need a huge engine. Their lungs just have to work good, and they have to have some basic skills. So, qualifiers often often sift down and give you a certain type of athlete. Now, it's not the end of the world. The fittest, me, other people who are competitive, who aren't necessarily like qualifier athletes, as I will deem them. Uh, if you're fit enough, you will still get through. You'll still qualify. You'll be fine. But you have a much better chance of doing well when the actual competition comes around. When you're now trying to do something for time, you're just doing it as fast as possible. Or at an in-person competition, they've now sifted through, those qualifier athletes. And so now they've got the people signed up. They now have freedom to go and make some workouts that involve implements that you're not used to. Heavy implements, skilled implements. The competition, in short, becomes much more well-rounded. And that's good because that finds better. It is a better process, a better, let's call it, I think, usually 6 or 7 scores. Those 6 or 7 events are now better programmed to find the fittest person there. And that is where I thrive. That is why we did really well at Wadapalooza. Me, Reggie, and Isaac, all 3 of us are more of a game day type athlete. Give us the skills, give us the heavy, give us the strategy. You have to strategize and sort of play the game a little bit, where there's none of that in qualifying type workouts. So, myself, obviously, I'm part of this, and my partner, Spencer, I would qualify as game day athletes. And the hope is that a lot of the qualifier type athletes show up and that they have to then go against us on game day when you're looking down the line at each other and you got to work out a strategy and you kind of have to take a chance and you see somebody go for a rep and you have to go for a rep and it's who can execute and it's going to be heavier and there's going to be more skill and more communication. That all bodes well for us. And so I think as being ranked as the 25th team out of 32 coming in, I strongly believe that we are poised to try and take a top 10 spot again going into this weekend. And that is the goal. Hopefully that all made sense. There will be 6 scored events over the course of this weekend. In totality, this whole competition happens within a 24-hour period, which is a little bit disappointing. You travel all the way down there and it ends up being pretty condensed because they do the individuals on Friday, Saturday morning, and then Saturday afternoon and Sunday they do the teams. And they do that so that people can compete in more division, both divisions if they want. They make more money. And day 1 will open with a workout, and then about 90 minutes later, there will be a 2-score workout. And then to start Sunday, there will be a 2-score workout, and about 2 hours later, there will be another workout. So 4 workout time frames. 2 of them are 2 scores. It gives you 6 total scored events, which is the same as Wadapalooza was. There were 6 events scored there. Pretty standard. Like I said, it'll be Saturday afternoon. I think local time, we work out at like 3:30 Eastern time on Saturday, and then like 5:15. And then Sunday morning, the 9th, we'll work out at like 8:30. And then, no, at like 10 o'clock, and then 12:30. So it'll literally all happen within like a 21-hour period. Also bodes well for us because that's another thing you have to deal with on competition day is in qualifiers, there's usually a week to get them done, or it's a multi-week thing where you can do one qualifier workout a week, or you can do, even the tightest qualifiers are usually you have 5 days to get in 5 scores. We're gonna have to go balls to the wall 4 times in 24 hours. And that, again, if you're a certain kind of athlete, if you've trained well, if you've trained volume, if you're good at recovering and taking care of your body and your nutrition, like all of those things matter in being able to recover, because by the time you hit Sunday morning, you're going to hurt and you're going to do another workout and then you're going to have to lay it on the line again one final time and die for points if you care, right? If you're trying to place well, which we are. So that's what we're looking at. We fly out on Friday afternoon. This is a much shorter trip. I get home sort of middle of Monday again, which was the same as Miami, but I was out of the house at like 5:45, 6 o'clock Thursday morning for the Miami trip. I don't leave for this one until like 1 p.m. on Friday afternoon. So this is nice. Get to see, it's going to feel 2 days shorter to the kiddo who will see me on Friday, just like she does every Friday, and helps out the wife a little bit. And it'll be a little bit shorter. Excited to go see some friends I haven't seen in a while. Excited to go compete and lay it on the line. Again, like I said, I'm fucking juiced right now with the competitive stuff. And when you're in great shape, you want to go and put that out there, which is why I'm intrigued to do another qualifier, because if I can qualify for that as an individual, these two competitions have been team comps. If I can go and qualify as an individual, I think it would be fun to go do an indie comp. Like, hey, put it all on me. So that's where we're at. Very excited to go do this. We'll see how it goes, right? No matter what, these two competitions have been fun to go through the qualifying process of and go down and do. And then really it's all about, hey, where can we land in this open? And there's a lot of nuance to this year's open with some more changed rules and percentage based, and can I qualify for the top 1% and all this different stuff that we'll talk about here in the next couple weeks. But that's what we're looking at. And that's it. Disc golf update. It's been warm, man. Any one of these days. There's been multiple days the last couple weeks where yesterday was one of them. It was like 54 degrees outside still. There wasn't any sun, but it was like hoodie weather. Could have gone out in shorts and a hoodie. Could have easily went and played disc golf yesterday. So I'm hoping that it stays decently warm through this February. Obviously, March it'll start to warm up. And the lack of snow has been amazing. I fucking love that. And hopefully we can get out there and start throwing the discs around like once or twice a week now. Because I want to kind of compete in a couple Saturday tournaments for disc golf this year too. So, I've got like 4 or 5 discs in my bag that we bought / received for Christmas around the holidays. And, I want to go see them fly, man. I want to go throw them discs. I want to sling some discs. That's it. When I come back next week, you'll be hearing a recap of the Fittest of the Coast, RX Division male teams. Hopefully we can take it home. What if we just podiumed? What if we won the motherfucker? That's what we're going to do. All right. You'll find out soon. Talk then.